More hormonal methods of birth control. You have the patch. This is a skin patch worn usually on the lower abdomen, your buttocks or upper body, but it's not directly on the breasts. That would mess with the hormone balance in the breasts. Usually people wear it on like their upper arm if it's on their upper body, or maybe like the back of their shoulder. But basically, it's prescribed by a doctor. It releases the hormones progestin and estrogen into your bloodstream. You put a new patch on once a week for 3 weeks, and then during the 4th week, you do not wear a patch so that you can have a menstruational period. This is the same usually with a lot of birth control. Same with the pill. You take a pill once every single day at the same time for 3 weeks, and then the 4th week there's a like placebo pill that you can continue to take so that you're remembering to continue to take the pill, but there's no hormones in it, so that you can still get your period and menstruate once a month. You can use birth control to skip a period if you choose so. You would just have to start a new patch or a new week of hormonal pills right after your 3rd week. There's no medical reason that you need a period every single month, but most people just like the consistency and to know that, the birth control is working and they're not pregnant. Typical use failure rate for the patch is 9%, so it's getting a little higher due to, how many hormones the patch is actually releasing, if people are remembering to put it on and take it off at correct times. This percent fail rates could also be due to how much weight people have, because if you weigh more than 198 pounds, it might not be enough of the hormone for you, so the patch might not be the best method. It could also fall off if you're in the water a lot, or for whatever reason. It's supposed to stick and stay on for the whole week, but it could fall off and that could mess with the hormones getting into your body, so the failure use rate is a little higher. There's a hormonal vaginal contraceptive ring. When we were looking at the questions that the student survey had, someone said NuvaRing, and that would be an example of this. It's a little like plastic bendy ring, kind of like the size of a pony holder, that you insert right up into the vagina, and it sits, at the entrance of your cervix. It doesn't go like all the way into the uterus like the implant method would, but the ring releases the hormones progestin and estrogen. You place the ring inside of your vagina again, and you wear it for 3 weeks, and then you take it out for a week and you get your period, and then you put a new ring in. So that 3-week cycle is still happening with most of these birth controls, and then the 4th week you let it out, you have your period, and then you put a new ring in. And again, the typical use failure rate is 9%, mostly due to having to, again, track when you put it in, when you took it out, if you forget. Otherwise, it's pretty useful. There is emergency contraception, and it's not a regular method of birth control. The emergency contraception is called like the Plan B pill you've probably heard of, and it can be used after no birth control was used during sex, or if the birth control method failed, such as if a condom broke and you were worried about getting pregnant, you could take the after pill or the Plan B pill. This pill will not abort an already fertilized egg. If the egg is already fertilized, you're pregnant, there's nothing that the Plan B pill will do. So the sooner you take it, the better. The pill is just going to help prevent any sort of fertilization from happening. And hopefully, it works, but it's not a guarantee. More information on that. Women can take the emergency contraceptive pills up to 5 days after they have unprotected sex, but again, the sooner the pills are taken, the better they will work. Again, the sperm can live up into the female body for 5 days, and if it's anywhere around the time of contraception, then you might be too late with the Plan B pill. There are 3 different types of emergency contraceptive pills available in the United States, and some of them are available over the counter, so you could like walk into Walmart or Walgreens and be able to purchase one. I believe they're fairly expensive though, but you could also go to the doctor and get one prescribed to you, and it's usually just one pill that you take again as soon as you are able, and it'll help to avoid a fertilized egg, but if the egg has already become fertilized, it will not do anything. Barrier methods. This is basically a barrier between either the penis and the vagina, or in this case, the cervix. There's something called the diaphragm or cervical cap. And each of these barriers are placed inside the vagina, and they basically cover the opening to the cervix to block the sperm from getting into the cervix. Because remember, if the sperm can't get past the cervix, it can't go into the uterus and it can't find the egg and the fallopian tube. So some people will put in the diaphragm or cervical cap to block it. And the typical use failure rate is about 12%, because again, there could be cracks in it, it could not work, it could fall out. This is an example of a diaphragm. It's kind of like you just insert it and it's a little cover, and then a cervical cap's a little smaller than that, and it usually stays in place. This is the IUD that's implanted into the uterus. These are birth control pills. This is obviously a male condom. This is a female condom, which we'll talk about in a second. And this is the birth control patch. Again, usually worn on the lower abdomen. Male condom, probably the most popular barrier method. It's worn by the man. A male condom keeps sperm from getting into a woman's body. They're usually latex condoms. They help prevent pregnancy, but they also are really good at preventing against HIV and other STIs, as do newer synthetic condoms. Not all condoms are latex because some people are allergic to latex. Again, the failure rate is getting higher as we talk about each of these. It's 18% now, which isn't high. But with the condoms, they can be put on wrong, they can fall off, they can break, they can be taken off incorrectly. There's just a ton of things that can happen. They're usually pretty effective, though, when used. But again, they can be used improperly. And here at the bottom, it's kind of cut off, sorry, but it says condoms can only be used once. And you want to make sure that they are stored properly, because if you leave them like in a car or in your pocket, or they go through the wash, they're not going to work the same, and they're more likely to break or let sperm through. But again, the male condom is a great way to prevent against skin-on-skin contact, which is where you get a lot of STIs from, and swapping of the body fluids, because the condom will trap all of the semen inside of it. Other barrier methods, there is a female condom. It's not super popular. It's that one we saw on the first page. It kind of looks like a little trash bag, but it's worn by the woman, so they put it up inside of the vagina, and it helps keep the sperm from getting into her body, so it's another barrier. The typical use failure rate is a little higher. It's 21%. It's not as snug as the male condom that stays on the penis better than a female condom, I would imagine, would stay in the vagina. But again, anything could happen. It could wiggle out of place. If you're taking it out and there's sperm inside, something could happen when you're trying to take it out. So Again, the failure rate for just having these barrier methods, this is just looking at them too and like not using any other birth control. A lot of people will be on some sort of hormonal birth control and also use condoms for protection. And the female condom obviously may also help prevent STIs because, again, we're not getting that full skin-on-skin contact. There's also spermicides. These products work to kill sperm and come in several different forms. There's a foam, gel, cream, a film, a suppository, or a tablet. They may be purchased at drugstores. Typical use failure rate is 28%, and that's assuming that we're just using, again, the spermicide. It's not going to kill all 300 million sperm, but if you use it successfully, like with condoms, and any sperm did get through, the spermicide would kill them. So again, not a popular method, but it's an extra precaution that could be taken. Just for your information, more condoms at a time does not mean more protection. It would actually increase the chances of them being broken because they would be rubbing together and cause friction. They need to be put on and taken off correctly for full prevention. That's where we get the typical use failure rate from. And there's also like a sponge you can soak with a spermicide and put it up into the vagina, but that's less popular. Fertility awareness-based methods. Natural family planning or fertility awareness. We kind of talked about this when we talked about the ovulation cycle and the menstruation cycle of a female, but understanding your monthly fertility pattern can help you plan to get pregnant or avoid getting pregnant. Your fertility pattern is the number of days in the month when you are fertile or able to get pregnant, when you're ovulating. Again, we looked at the diagram and usually they said ovulation happens on day 14. It's different for everyone, so you'd have to pay attention to how your body works. But this is the days when you are fertile and days when fertility is unlikely, but it's always possible at any time during the month. It's always possible. If you have a regular menstruation cycle, you have about 9 or more fertile days each month. So that's a large chunk of time that you are fertile. If you don't want to get pregnant, you do not have sex on the days that you are deemed more fertile, or if you use a barrier method or birth control on those days. The failure rates vary across these methods. Overall, typical use failure rate is 24%. That's mainly because, again, everyone's body's different, and 1 month you could have a normal menstrual cycle, and the next month it could be totally different. So maybe your days where you thought you weren't fertile and you were having unprotected sex, you were actually fertile, or you didn't give yourself enough time before your fertility date and the sperm survived inside the body for a couple days. It's, again, probably better to use this method if you're trying to figure out when's the best time to get pregnant, not to avoid getting pregnant. I would continue, using birth control methods consistently and barrier methods for that, just because you never can say for sure.